Would you in no way be the jerk for refusing to allow your son to go to a school dance? We'll get to that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for telling my brother he moved too fast for the outcome he ultimately wanted? My brother, 39-year-old male, has a daughter Piper, 15-year-old female. When Piper was 4, her mom died. My brother told Piper so much about her, and they had some special photos of her mom that were treasured. When Piper was 6, she started being teased by this girl called Nancy, 15-year-old female now. It continued for over a year and ultimately came to a head when Nancy tore up a photo of Piper's mom that Piper brought into school for some show and tell family edition her class were doing. From that day on, Piper did not like Nancy. Because of that incident, my brother and Nancy's mom met. They became friends, and a few months after the incident where Nancy tore up the photo, they started dating, and they married a year later. Piper pulled away from my brother when she found out he was dating Nancy's mom, and even more when they moved in together and got married. Nancy was actually happy and tried to get close to Piper, but Piper wanted nothing to do with that. Nancy's mom mentioned how being sisters would mend the rift, and I thought that was kind of crazy given what went down. My brother only mentioned to me recently that he really thought Piper and Nancy would be sisters and would be close by now, but Piper doesn't want anything to do with Nancy still and doesn't trust her around anything important. I told my brother that's because he moved too fast to get that kind of relationship with them. I said he and his wife started dating and Nancy hadn't even apologized, and then Piper was still upset about who he was dating and Nancy being in her life more when they got married. I told him at no point did he try to make what happened better for Piper. He thought his marriage license would somehow erase the hurt Piper felt and the bullying Nancy put Piper through for more than a year. I said maybe if he had given it time, let Nancy apologize and given the girls space where they weren't living together to interact outside of school, things could have happened. But you had one child who was hurt and angry and another who was eager to have a dad and sibling after only having her mom. My brother said I expected him to let Piper dictate his life. I said no, not what I said. I said if he wanted Piper to be happy and embrace Nancy as a sibling, then he should have taken things more slowly to get that outcome. He told me it was none of my business and I was overstepping and just his little sister. Am I the jerk? OP is speaking nothing but true facts here, and the brother just doesn't want to hear it. They're willing to put up a wall and tear down their relationship not only with Piper so far, but with their own sister, just so they don't have to hear how wrong they were in the handling of this whole situation. They expected their kids to just like TV sitcom Brady Bunch make it all up type thing. Sorry that what you want doesn't just magically happen. Our next story is, am I the jerk for screwing over all the people who donated their time and money? The PTA's been planning a fundraiser for months to raise money for new cheerleading uniforms. The old uniforms are very outdated, and all the kids are excited about getting new ones, including mine. Early in the planning, I agreed that my property could be used at no cost for the event, and that I would provide all the furnishing. Other people worked hard on buying and making items to be sold at the fundraiser. Some people spent upwards of hundreds of hours and/or dollars for the event. At a recent meeting, the football coach said the equipment was badly worn out and needed to be replaced ASAP. A vote was held, and the majority voted that this fundraiser would be for the football team instead of the cheerleaders. I was pissed. Football is always the top priority. I went above and beyond here specifically to help out the cheerleading team. My child and all their friends on the team got their hopes up only to be dashed. I told everyone my property would no longer be available for use, and they would need to find a new venue. People panicked and got very angry, including several people who voted against the change. They said my decision was equivalent to throwing all their hard work in the trash. I asked them how they thought the cheerleaders would feel. They said it was a vote, and I was acting like a dictator, that I can't overrule the will of the majority. I said they can do what they like, but not on my property. I know they won't be able to find a venue this late, especially not at an affordable price. I understand I screwed over my friends, burned bridges, and am likely going to be kicked off the PTA. I just can't bring myself to help them. Am I a spiteful jerk? I think OP's definitely not the jerk here. It is so scummy to have this fundraiser and effort and you build it up and you put so much work into it just for somebody else to get their eyes on it, come by and just cut it right off at the knees and claim it for the football team. It's disrespectful as heck, and I don't blame OP for doing what they did and sticking up for their people. They clearly saw this doing super well and they're like, how can I get this for the football team? Our next story is, am I the jerk for going to work while my wife was having her appendix out? My 31-year-old male, wife, 32-year-old female, was having a ton of really bad abdominal pain last weekend. I drove her to urgent care Saturday morning. She didn't want to go, but I basically made her. Urgent care made her go to the ER, where they determined that her appendix needed to come out that day. She called her mom before surgery. Her mom must have told both my parents as well, because all three, her mom and my mom and dad, ended up at the hospital to be with her during her surgery. Now, here's where the conflict lies. I was scheduled for work at 5 p.m. that night. I've just started a new job that pays well. I only started it a couple of weeks ago, so I'm brand new at it. I didn't want to call in. They probably would have been cool with it given the circumstances, but I still didn't want to do it. I didn't even have the PTO for it. I would have either have had to take the day unpaid or gone negative on my PTO. So while my wife was having the surgery, I went into work and pulled my shift. My wife is upset with me. She's accusing me of abandoning her, but I think that's unfair. She was having a completely routine surgery and she had plenty of company and support. It was unfortunate that I couldn't be there, and I feel bad about it, but it's not as if I'm a surgeon and could have made the difference. I had to work, period, and I'm too new there to call in. The timing sucked, but my wife's health outcomes were the same either way. Her mother gets it, and so does my father, but my mom thinks I should have called in. Am I the jerk? Well, while I honestly kind of do understand what OP is going through here and why they felt the way they did, I think you also have to apply how you would feel in that situation and also who you are as far as in your relationship. I think if you're married, you should be that person's person. And in a time like that, when they're going in for a scary surgery where honestly anything could happen, they wanted their person there with them, and OP said, hey, sorry, I can't miss that paycheck from one day of work. Also, how would you feel in that situation? If you're going in to get your appendix out, you probably would want your person there with you too, right? Our next story is, am I the jerk for canceling my wedding? I, 37-year-old male, am getting married in 2 weeks to Kate, 41-year-old female. This is her second marriage and my first. Because of that, she isn't particularly interested in a whole traditional wedding, and frankly, neither am I. But my parents want the whole wedding crap, and Kate and I are humoring them by agreeing to have a small outdoor ceremony in their backyard. However, I have a lot of regrets agreeing to it, and last night I told my mom it's off, and Kate and I will elope. First, Kate told my mom she would take care of all the decorations. She told my mom her plans for flower arrangements, and my mom immediately went to a florist and ordered all the flowers herself. And she went against everything Kate said and ordered different flowers and completely different colors than Kate said she wanted. My mom said, since it's at my house, I get the say. I called my mom and told her to cancel the flowers. Then my mom called me from a restaurant the other day asking for my credit card number because she was ordering all the food. I assumed she was ordering everything we had previously discussed, but no, she was at a completely different restaurant. We'd been planning on tacos, and my mom ordered Greek food. Last night was the final straw. Kate's 95-year-old grandparents decided they wanted to come, but with bad weather and their age, we want to move the ceremony from the yard to the deck. That way her grandparents won't need to walk down any stairs. My mom had a cow and kept saying, it's fine, they can go downstairs, it won't kill them, and we'll turn on the fire pit. I told her, the yard will be a muddy mess, and I don't want her grandpa to fall, he can barely walk as it is. She continued to push back and said again, it's at my house, I get the final say. I blew up at her and said it's our marriage and we get the final say. I told her everything is canceled, including the shower she insisted on throwing for Kate. Kate didn't want it, and we'll be getting married on our own terms. My mom called me a jerk and demanded an apology. I refused. A couple of my friends and my brother-in-law agree with my mom that it's her house and she should decide. So Reddit, am I the jerk for canceling everything? Kate doesn't give a freak and this is all added more stress than she needs right now. 100% not the jerk, easily. Nobody has to put up with that weird controlling behavior. Have your wedding the way you want to, and if that can't be respected, then do what you wanted to do to begin with. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my friend the truth about her proposal? My friend, 28-year-old female, and I, 28-year-old female, have been friends ever since high school and always done everything together. I've been dating my boyfriend for the past 6 years. One detail is that she never wants to hang out when he's around and just says, let it be a girl's time. Alright. She's never had a real relationship and usually hung out with married guys discreetly until she met a great guy she really liked and was exclusive to. My boyfriend had proposed to me a year into our relationship, so we were technically engaged, but he recently proposed to me again and said he wanted to renew the engagement and do another surprise because it's been so long. It was a nice party, but she wasn't there. Well, he later told me that he contacted my friend to help with arrangements and bringing me to the venue, but she refused to help. Fine. Next thing I know, she keeps telling her man to propose, and when he refused, she organizes a proposal and makes him go down on one knee. I thought proposals were supposed to be voluntary, but whatever. The dude just played along into her delusion. Later on, when she showed her ring, the ring that she picked, and told me it was prettier than mine and they were together for a year, we were together for 6, but he had bought a bigger one, I straight up said, he didn't propose, you forced him to propose to you on purpose. You'll break up soon, and just left. Am I the jerk? This person doesn't support you, your choices, and is obviously incredibly jealous to the point of trying to put you and your relationship down. I mean, are they really even considered a friend to you anymore? Our next story is, am I the jerk for wanting my sister to pay me back because my nephew lost my electric scooter? Last year, I bought an E-Move Cruiser electric scooter, which I've since modified to add more speed, a new handlebar, and some other mods. The scooter itself wasn't cheap, at least $1,500. Plus mods puts it over $2,000. I have a sister, 43-year-old female, and a nephew, 13-year-old male, who I always let house sit for me while I'm out of town on business. I have pets and plants that I need taken care of, and they always welcome a change of scenery. So I had to go on a business trip last month for a week and let them house sit. My nephew has always asked me about my scooter, and I told him that it isn't for kids because it's extremely fast, and I've expressly forbidden him from riding it multiple times. His mother knows about this as well. Well, I come back from my trip, and my sister tells me that I'm going to be mad, but my nephew took my scooter out, left it unattended, and had it stolen. I was freaking pissed and asked them to leave. I told them they'd have to replace it, and my sister pleaded with me. They couldn't afford it. It was a mistake, and that he could just do chores around my house to pay me back. I told her it doesn't replace my scooter. She said that any money would have to come from their vacation fund. I said, tough crap. Our parents have gotten involved and said that I'm taking it too far. They agree that my nephew should be punished and I should be paid back, but to take away their family vacation is just cruel and petty. They suggested a payment plan. I told them, heck no, that I use my scooter to commute to work often and that I wanted it back immediately. Furthermore, he was warned not to ride it since it's dangerous. Now that I've started to calm down here a little, I wonder if I'm being a jerk here by being so demanding and potentially punishing everyone else for my nephew's mistake. As much as people might try to drive this towards, it's the nephew's mistake. The mom was there too, they're still the mom. The nephew's only 13 years old, so this kid took the scooter and went God knows where, and the mom essentially allowed it. If getting that money back meant they couldn't pay rent or buy groceries, sure, maybe OP would be the jerk, but God forbid they can't go to Disneyland this year, so what? This next story is, am I the jerk for getting a tattoo I knew my husband wouldn't like? So, 10 years ago, around when I met my husband, I got my first tattoo. Nothing crazy, just a flower on my ankle. As he was a new boyfriend at the time, I didn't really pay attention to his feelings or cues. A few years after we married and had our first child, I decided I wanted a light blue tattoo on my inner wrist to represent me and my baby A. And he was huffy but didn't say why, so I got it. 3 years later, I wanted another small one for a Friday the 13th special, and that's when he finally told me he didn't like tattoos. He didn't give reasons, but he said that he didn't like them. However, he didn't stop me when I got something representing our favorite video game. Afterwards, we had a long discussion about how much I always wanted them, how they're important to me, and the styles I like versus what he hated. When my dad recently passed, it was hard, but he knew that eventually I'd want a memorial tattoo. He remembered that, and though he was sarcastic about it, but he said he understood and wouldn't stop me. So today I saved the final amount needed and went to my appointment. I got a very colorful rooster about the size of my palm. I loved it so much. He saw it and is super pissed. He's barely talking to me and is asleep. I want to peel my skin off immediately. I now hate it and want to undo it because I hate that he's mad at me. But he approved the design, it's just bigger than he expected. Was I wrong for getting it? While I think honestly it's completely fine to have preferences, as in like, if you just don't like the way tattoos look or you think it's kind of like messing up your skin or it's not really your thing, so be it. But this guy clearly is internalizing all of his feelings and can't communicate about it. If you love the person, you should be able to work through it even if you don't like tattoos. This guy should go and be saying something like, I'm gonna be honest, it's not my favorite, but I love you, I support you, I want to be here with you. In my opinion, that's what should be happening. If the tattoo's too much and they want out, speak up or stop pouting like a child. This next story is, am I the jerk for punishing my son for a harmless prank he's pulling? I have 3 kids. Oldest is at university, so it's just me, my wife, and them. 16-year-old male and 11-year-old female. All my kids are children who have been raised well, and they've grown to be people I'm proud to call my own. My son recently had some friends over, and things were going fine. I went upstairs at one point to bring them the pizza they had ordered, when I overheard my son talking about how his friends owed him something for asking a girl in their class out as a prank. From what I gathered, the girl was someone his friends didn't deem attractive enough, and a load of other BS. I decided to talk to my son about it after his friends left, to save him from embarrassment. I did raise my voice a little, but that was due to how maddening the whole situation was. The same thing had happened to my cousin when we were younger, and I saw how the whole thing affected her as she took on new relationships. My son argued back that it was just a prank that wouldn't hurt anyone and that I was going against him by listening to his friends' private conversations, and said that while he felt sorry for my cousin, he was mature enough to understand to not pull the prank any further. I didn't listen to any other excuse he gave and decided to ground him for 2 weeks. He said that I shouldn't have any say in this when the whole thing had nothing to do with me. My wife claims boys will be boys and that it's something harmless. When I asked her how she'd feel if this was played on our daughter, she simply said, that won't happen because she has good genes. Mother-in-law and father-in-law are blowing up the family group chat about how I'm hurting their baby for normal teenage boy behavior. So, am I the jerk? If I'm being too nosy about an act that has nothing to do with me, I'll take back my son's grounding. I don't blame OP, I think they're in their right here. Some people might argue that it needed to be more of a learning experience, but as soon as the 16-year-old son went straight to, I'm mature enough to understand not to pull the prank any further, you can automatically tell there's no getting through to him very easily. They don't really understand the weight of what they did and how this impacts this person. Lord knows, that person that got that prank pulled on them might very well understand exactly what happened, and that's the kind of stuff that sticks with people for years. I'm not gonna lie, the wife's reaction is also pretty disgusting. Just completely ignoring the whole thing and just casually classing their daughter above this person who got affected here. Our next story is, am I the jerk for letting a friend braid my hair? I, 35-year-old male, recently got back from a trip with some old university friends. 3 men and 4 women, including myself. It was just a small thing, and we went up into the countryside and did some hiking like we did when we were younger. Before each hike, I let one of my friends, who we can call Maddie, braid my hair to get it out of my way. This was because 1, I am hopeless at doing these kinds of things, and 2, we used it as a bit of time to chat and relax. I just want to stress here, there was no intimacy or romanticism between us. It was literally just her plaiting my hair. When I got home, I was showing my wife some of the pictures and telling her about how it was a great time. In one of these pictures, you can quite clearly see my braid, to which my wife asks, "Where did you learn to do that?" I explained to her that Maddie was doing it for me before we started walking, thinking that this was a perfectly normal thing and wouldn't sound off any alarms. Apparently, this isn't normal, friendly activities, as my wife thought it was completely out of the ordinary. She asked me all kinds of questions about whether we shared a tent or anything more happened, to which I answered no to all. She even contacted some of the people who were there, quizzing them about Maddie and I's relationship. Nothing like this has ever happened before, and her behavior was completely different to usual. She has since seemed incredibly distant over the past few days and hasn't properly spoken to me since I was called a piece of poop for having my hair braided. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Obviously the wife equates this with some really weird level of intimacy. I don't really know what more OP can do, but I don't think they're the jerk. I hope they can properly talk it out at some point, or the wife just comes around at some point, I don't know. Feel like things can't go on like that for too much longer before something falls apart. This next story is, am I the jerk for telling my sister her 4 kids are her +1? I'm 30-year-old male in the midst of planning a wedding and deciding everything regarding the guest list. We have a hard cap of people allowed given the venue's small size. We can only have 105 people. Anything after that would not be allowed due to fire codes and venue policy. I have an older sister, Mia, whose life is a bit of a mess right now. She and her latest ex-partner and dad of one of her kids broke up in the last 6 months. She has 4 kids and they're all living at my parents' house for the time being. We opted to not have a child-free wedding after there being so much drama about it, so Mia's 4 kids between 4 and 11 will be at our wedding. She recently got her invite that stated her name and her 4 kids' names. She then called me and said, I assume as an adult I also get a +1. We told her no, she's not in a serious relationship, and she and her kids are already about 5% of our total guest list. Our caterer also doesn't charge less for kids, so we're paying about $400 for those 4 kids to be there. We don't want to pay another $100 for some random that she'd bring. She's not dating anyone, but said she could easily find a date or bring a friend to have someone to dance with. We told her she had 4 kids there. That should be more than enough instead of having a +1. My dad's on my side and is tired of her taking up their house. My mom is a little more sympathetic and saying I should allow her to have a +1 because that's what you do for adults. Spending $600 on just my sister, her kids, and a date when she's not seeing anyone seriously just seems ridiculous to me though. She's pretty ticked off though. Am I being the jerk here? 100% OP's not being the jerk. Can't you just dance with one of your 4 children? I don't understand why she seems so insistent on needing to find some last-second date to go to this wedding. This next story is, am I the jerk for telling people my brother chose a dog over me? My 28-year-old female brother, 26-year-old male, was my best friend growing up. He didn't feel the same way. I was a lot more awkward as a kid, so I often just followed his friend groups around, even though many of them bullied me. He never stood up for me, but when we were alone, he went back to being fun and nice, so I always forgave him. When we were teenagers and got part-time jobs, I started buying him birthday and Christmas presents, even though he never did the same. Our parents said it was because he's younger and would eventually, but to this day, I've never received a gift from him personally. Now that we're adults, I call and text him occasionally to check in, and though he's nice when he responds, he doesn't initiate. I figured that was just how he is. I always put more work in, but he's my brother and I love him. I'm graduating from graduate school soon, and I invited my whole family out to celebrate. Everyone got a plane ticket and hotel room I'm paying for, and it's been planned out for months. The other day, my brother called me to say that he was picking up a new puppy the day before my graduation and that he couldn't make it. Something inside me broke a little. I asked if it really had to be that day, if he couldn't postpone it for a week or something, but he said no dice and to cancel his reservations. I said okay and hung up. I decided I was done being in a one-way relationship with him, even though I always thought of him as my best friend. Later, I was talking to our mom and she was saying how excited she is to see us, and I told her, oh, brother's not coming. He chose a dog over me. She asked what I was talking about, and I explained. She said she was disappointed but not surprised. Word got out and my brother called me, really hushed and sad, and said what I said wasn't cool. I said I just told the truth. He called me a jerk and we haven't spoken since. I said what I said in anger and bitterness, but now I'm feeling really guilty because I've always forgiven my brother and I've never heard him sound the way he did on the phone. Am I the jerk? It might make OP feel bad, but it is the truth. And sometimes it does hurt, even if it hurts you to admit it. This next story is, am I the jerk for making my boyfriend walk our dog at 3 a.m.? I'm a nurse. I used to get home from work and our dog would be by the door waiting because she got used to the time I'd be home. I would then take her for a quick walk. She got used to it and it turned to a habit. I was working night shifts only pretty consistently until now. My boyfriend refuses to wake up at night when she comes barking at our door and acts like he's dead asleep or just point blank says no. I then have to wake up and do it. Yesterday night I went to the bathroom as soon because I genuinely needed it, but then she woke up and wanted to go for her walk. I could hear my boyfriend calling me, but I stayed in the bathroom a while longer to prompt him to get up and take her on the walk because I've told him time and time again it's unfair that I always have to do it. He did end up doing it but was pretty pissed off about it and said I created this issue and should deal with it to fix it. Am I the jerk? 100% the jerk here. Although you have formed this habit with the dog, it is very possible to unform this habit with the dog. Don't give in to the dog's demands at 3 a.m. Don't yell at them, but be clear no if the dog even has a concept of no. It may suck and they may keep you up multiple nights barking and whining, but work through it until they finally get used to the new schedule. This next story is, am I the jerk because one son has to do more chores than the other? My kids have daily chores they have to do after school. They have to Swiffer their rooms and take out the garbage. They also alternate days to clean their bathroom mirror and the sink. However, when they have friends over, they don't have to do their chores. It's kind of awkward for the other kid to just have to sit around and twiddle their thumbs while their host is Swiffering. My 14-year-old gets pissed when the 12-year-old is at a friend's house or has a friend over and doesn't have to do his chores because it isn't fair. He doesn't have playdates every week or anything, but it still infuriates 14 when it does happen. My 14-year-old isn't very social and never has people over. I don't think this is a healthy mindset from him, but he's been getting angrier and angrier. Yesterday, he refused to do his chores because 12 had a friend over to work on a project with. So 14-year-old went on a chore strike and ended up getting grounded. I know I'm old and out of touch, but am I the jerk here? I understand what OP's saying on the surface level, but it does add up. Because think about it like this. Even though, yes, you have a friend over, it's kind of weird to do the chores. If they have friends over pretty regularly and the 14-year-old doesn't, the 14-year-old is doing the work, all throughout all those times the 12-year-old just has a shift off. At some point, the 12-year-old should have to pick up some extra slack somewhere else to make up for how much they get away, or allow the 14-year-old to have a day off once in a while. I mean, I know if I had to do chores like that daily regardless, I'd probably go crazy. This next story is, am I the jerk for not allowing my son to go to his school dance? My husband, 51-year-old male, and I, 48-year-old female, have 6 children. 19-year-old male, 16-year-old female, 14-year-old female, 13-year-old male, 11-year-old male, and 5-year-old female. Our 16-year-old Gianna is a junior in high school, and our son Riker, 13, is in 7th grade. The kids are starting to have their school dances. The 7th grade dance is later this month, and the junior banquet is in early May. We've gone shopping for dress clothes for all the dances. We bought Gianna's dress a few weeks ago. Gianna's usually been a good kid throughout her life. This school year's been slightly harder than others though. Around 2 months ago, we got a call from Gianna's choir teacher saying that Gianna and a few other altos were making racist jokes about some of the new pieces she introduced, including an Urdu song and a song from Honduras. We talked to Gianna about her actions, and we made her write an apology to her teacher, as well as write a 5-paragraph essay on why it's important to respect music from other cultures. Riker has a friend from his baseball team who's Honduran. He was born here, but his mom was born in Honduras and his dad is mixed. When Riker heard about this, he was quite mad and asked if he could have his friend come over and teach her about the culture there. We allowed this, and he came over with his parents and they made food, and Riker and his friend talked about sports and music there. Gianna was very clearly not enjoying it, but we made her engage anyways. Our daughter and a group of her friends, including her boyfriend, got in trouble last week for making racist jokes again. We took her phone to investigate to see where this hatred could be coming from. Riker had his friends over for a sleepover the night we found out about this. During dinner, the boys were talking about how their coach would never let them live through it if they bullied a kid or made racist jokes. My husband and I tried helping guide them through their feelings, like asking them about the diverse athletes they liked. Gianna was hanging out with friends at the mall that night, some of whom were doing dress shopping for the upcoming dance. Our son and the boys decided to use this opportunity to trash the dress, using mud, drinks, and cutting a few holes in the dress. We found out when Gianna came home, entered her room, and saw the dress. The boys were laughing, and Riker said they did it because Gianna didn't deserve to go to the banquet, and saying how there could be kids that look like his Honduran friend. We told Riker that we were trying our best to educate her in a very white town. We're also white. We told him that this was the wrong way to take out his anger, and that as a result, he couldn't go to his 7th grade dance. Riker told us to shut up and spent the rest of his night in his room with the boys. Riker texted my parents and siblings as well as my in-laws. A few have called us and came to his defense, saying he's just a kid who was trying to cope with anger. Now we're unsure if we're in the wrong. Am I the jerk? Now, I don't blame OP for punishing him for destroying the dress, but his punishment being more severe than Gianna's when Gianna has been caught multiple times being blatantly racist is a little disappointing. Like, obviously OP has weighted these two situations very differently, maybe because the dress also personally affects OP a little bit more because OP, I assume, paid for the dress. If Gianna's punishment is education, then Riker's punishment should also be education. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right.